Good evening. This is Yao Yambu lecture series. These lectures are made for Pan-Africanists of all different organizations. Know that they are Africans. Also for educated people who know the difference between right and wrong and know something about history. So this is who this video is made for, and I will be coming on every night at 7 p.m. with different topics of discussion. So tonight my first discussion is cultural imperialism. What is cultural imperialism? Cultural imperialism is when one race of people struggle to convince another race of people that they have the same history and they should follow their history and not their own history. So we know that we are Pan-Africanists, know that we are Africans, period. But any organization at least call themselves Africans in some form. Even Africans American, at least they have to say Africans. Even those organizations say they are new Africans, at least they know that they are Africans. But our problem is that we play with the identity question. And we must move away from this, and we must become more conscious of this identity. Because once we recognize people as who they are in world civilization, things will become more clear for us as we look at them from an ecological standpoint, from a cultural standpoint, from an origin standpoint, from a civilization standpoint. And we need to stop calling people what they are not and start calling people what they are. And the first thing we need to do is start calling people where they are from. We need to start calling Europeans, Europeans. Stop calling these people out their name and calling them a color. They ain't no color. They got an origin, they have a civilization, they got languages, they have everything every other people have. So stop calling these people out their names and call them what they are, Europeans. You're afraid to call them Europeans. You know they're your friends and stuff, so you shouldn't have no problem calling them Europeans. I'm sure that they won't say that they're not European. And if they say that they're not European, ask them what they call Elizabeth, what they call Charles. If they talking about king and queens, and you're African, you know they're not your kings and queens. So let's understand this question of cultural imperialism, trying to get us to live by the European way of life, by the European standards way of life, trying to cut off us by our history of Africa, have always tried to cut off Africans who live in South America history from Africa, because they don't want to let you know you Africans, because they know all the great things and contributions Africa have made to world civilization. So they don't want to think you're African. They want you to think you anything other than an African. And we as a people have been called some of everything other than an African. And we need to finally reach a conclusion that we ain't nothing but an African. As Peter Torchkin said, no matter where you're born at, long as you look like us, you African. Long as you can't go join the Ku Klux Klan, you are a African. Your identity shows you are a African. So own your history, own your culture, own your identity, and call Europeans what they are, European. You ain't never heard of no white slave trade. You heard of European slave trade. Let's be honest about it. You know, we say we're looking for the truth, we want the truth. So that's the way cultural imperialism work upon the people. Make you think that your history, your culture ain't about anything. And their history and their culture is worth everything. And our history and culture is much older than theirs, are much, much older than their culture. So we understand that once we come to understand who we are as a people and go back and start looking at our history through historical documentations, all the great empires that we built as Africans at home. We built the pyramids, we built the Songhai Empire, Mila Empire. We built so many empires in Africa. Now over here, we don't know who we are. We can't get together and build anything without controversy. We need to recognize that we are Africans. And we need to start calling Europeans, Europeans now. I'm reminding you now, I'm just talking to those Pan-Africanist conscious Africans who've been in our African People Revolutionary Party and in other revolutionary party for years, and we know that they are Europeans. at least the indigenous people didn't call them what we call them. At least they call them pale face because they know they weren't the same people, same culture as they. So you can't think like those people think on things that dealing with our culture, dealing with our identity, trying to look like them trying to confer to us that they look better than we do. And every time you see them, they're somewhere trying to look like we look. So be proud to be an African. You ain't call a sister, hey, beautiful African queen. What she gonna say? She ain't no African queen. She an African American queen or something. She not gonna say that. She gonna say, thank you, brother. You say, hey, African king, what's going on with you today, my brother? Say, I'm doing all right, brother. How you doing and stuff, you know? Well, we must be proud of who we are. We know we are kings and queens of the universe, and we can't let no other people think that they are more important than we are. We've got to be the most important thing to us in our lives. What else can be more important than yourself? And we must be more important as a people, not an individual, not a small group, but as a race. Just look at the thing with George Floyd. Africans all over Africa, all over in Europe, all over in the Caribbean and the Caribbean, everywhere joining with African people. So we know we the same people struggling against the same imperialist, capitalist, racist, Zionist element that all other oppressed peoples go through. So we must be conscious about what we're doing. You hear everybody attacking everybody during the coronavirus that, you know, African people getting more than anybody else. Yeah, cultural imperialism. And it's not by accident. We know America believes in joint warfare. I have always practiced on us. We have always been next after the rats for experiments. You know, so we know that we are not the same. And we know those people is not no color. I can remember a brother from Azania who was with PAC, brother Mahali, used to always say, I'm not black. I'm not the opposite of white. I have an origin. I have a culture. I have civilization. I have a history. I'm not the opposite of white. And I'm African. And that is true. We understand that black was the first thing that we made a decision to call ourselves down in Greenwood, Mississippi with SNCC. When Brother Mokasa Willie Rich, who live in Atlanta now, called out, what you want? Kwame Ture, at the time was named Stoker Cotton. I asked, what you want? And Mokasa had the people ready to say black power. Black power. And that's when we became black. Went from Negro to black. You know, I tell people all the time, on my birth certificate, I was born in 1947, on my birth certificate, it got a C on there. They said that stand for color. I said, I don't know, it might stand for coon. They ain't think enough of me. They ain't put color on there. I was talking to my son today. He said, Daddy, you know a B on mine. Yeah, I mean, put it on there for boy or jabbo or black or what, you know what I'm saying? So we got to recognize who we are as a people. We can't be dealing with them Europeans. You know, we just start looking at ourselves, even if we don't push under, but we Africans, and start calling them Europeans, then you'll look at them different. You'll start looking at Europeans throughout the world different. You'll start recognizing them as Europeans no matter where you see them at, you'll know they're Europeans. I don't want to talk too long because I know my old people don't have a whole lot of patience. You know, but you ain't just got to listen to me. Go listen to Dr. Clark, listen to Dr. Ben, listen to Kwame Ture, look at the Secret Ture, listen to Kwame Nkrumah, listen to Malcolm X, listen to Dr. King, listen to Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman. You know, listen to somebody that's talking about something, gonna put you in a more understanding of the African plight to become a Pan-Africanist. Be proud of Africa. Love Africa. Africa is my home. I love Africa. I'm a soldier of Africa. I never wear two uniforms. As Brother Wasanu Jamar used to say, you got to make up the decision. You got to make up your own mind. You got to make a decision of what uniform you're going to wear. Either you're going to wear African uniform or you're going to wear imperialist uniform. If you're going to try to wear both, an African bottom and a European top, or vice versa, you come out of there, one bound to shoot you if both don't shoot you. So you got to make up your mind what revolution, what army you going to belong to. The African army or the European army? Ain't no middle ground, Kwame Ture used to say all the time, ain't no middle ground. You know, so we asking all the Pan-Africanists, all of the conscious peoples throughout the world, all my conscious friends who have the opportunity to see this, please start calling Europeans Europeans. Don't be afraid to call them Europeans. They ain't gonna deny they're Europeans. And then maybe you'll stop denying you're African because you know you're different than them. Stop following the European way of life. That is not our way of life. That is not the culture container we came out of in Africa. European came out of a different culture container. So you need to look at our history, start listening more to our history and our historians, and find out more about Africa, and you'll become proud of Africa. Because if you don't know nothing about Africa, then the only thing you know about is being a slave. Thank you. See you tomorrow night on the same subject. Good night. Thank you. Love you. Fought with the African Revolution.